everyone, this is Cinema.
And this is Johannes.
And you're watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are bringing you this video, which is going to be all about one of the games that we were the most excited about to get at Spiel. We have it now, we're going to talk about it. It is Ancient Tigers from Pythagoras is having the game in Europe, and Mayfair is the publisher in the US. It is published by those people and designed by Nuno Bizarro Sentiero and Paulo Soledad, hopefully said somehow like that. Designers that we have a lot of respect for and that we really have enjoyed most of the games we have played by those designers in the past. And today we are talking to you all about Ancient Tigers.
And it plays from 1 to 4 players in 2 hours.
Ancient Tigers is an economic game where you are trying to do all kind of stuff, but it's basically a worker placement game with very few actions, but it's the span of how you do those actions is what makes it interesting. It is a game about area majority, about timing, about selling resources at the right time, about making your own scoring, which we are very much a fan of. We are big fans, especially of 2 of these designers' games, which is Nippon and Madeira, which are fantastic games. Some elements of this reminded me of Nippon.
Yes.
And I have to say, this is a great game.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed this game. I know you did as well, and I'm saying.
Yes.
So if you want to know more about why, then you can watch the rest of this video. We're going to start with a brief overview. I'm going to go, like I did in Resafa, a bit more into detail because this might be the first time you hear about or you see these games. I want to make sure you understand the concepts. This is the board. It looks like this. We have 4 different areas. I have just placed my player board here so you can see everything. You're going to have workers here in different colors. On your turn, you're going to take one of the workers and you're going to place them somewhere. So if there's a white worker somewhere already, you will have to place that worker the same place. And right up in this area now, I can place a white worker here because there is already one in this area. So there has to be like one of each color in these 3 areas. The same applies here in the middle. So if I go here with this worker, the next time on my turn, I can't go to this other location because I already decided for every player that this is going to be the white space where you can only use those workers. There is basically only 2 actions in the game. You can go to one of the 4 locations to build something from your board out onto the board here to get different resources, to build factories that give you goods that you can later use to sell, and all kind of different things also to try to get a area majority in those locations. You can then go here to sell resources, so these are the goods that you can get. So let's say I am somewhere over there. I want to sell these, for example. I would go over here. I could sell these 2, which would then give me a flag, some movement on the global track, and I will place it to the right of my player board outside of the screen to get some bonuses, and also that will help me make some scoring. After everybody plays their 10 workers, you're gonna do some area majority. You're gonna move on these tracks, the influence tracks on all the different places, and get some bonuses. At the end of the game, this is gonna be the track that depends on how many points you're getting at the end of the game. There's different kind of scorings. A lot of scoring comes from these areas. A lot of scoring comes from the end of game scorings, and that is mostly what you're going to do. I say mostly, which was a mix of mostly and basically. This is mostly what you're going to do in the game. And after you have gone through your 10 workers 2 times, you're going to do the final scoring, and the player then at the end is the winner. And the winner is the player with the most points. Let's start talking about the artwork and the components for this game.
This is like the Euro game. It looks like a spreadsheet. And I think this is where most people will disagree about this game, because this is very simplistic artwork. It's not the most beautiful game that I've ever seen in my life, but I don't mind. It fits the theme. What I would have liked to have is a tad more like quality. So I would love for these, for example, to be dual layer player boards.
Yes.
I think like we've gone a little been
spoiled.
So I kind of expect that for modern board games now, but I think also these, I don't know if you can see it, but these are actually like puzzle pieces to be like in a punch board for production to be cheaper, I think. So that is also like a thing that might bother someone, I guess.
Yeah, I would have liked it to be a board.
Yeah.
I don't know really why they chose to do that. It's like it's a nuance. It's like a small little thing,
Yeah.
but it makes me feel like this is not like a high value production.
Yeah.
It's a lower value production, and especially now when you can make super simple double layer boards.
Yes.
But it's very. I'm gonna say two positive things, and I'm gonna say one. It's very easy to see. Even though if you look at it now, when you don't know the rules and you haven't played it, it might look like, oh, it's just colors. But when I play it, I think it's pretty simple to see what is what.
Yes.
And to like be able to see how, because like you need to know how much influence you have in different areas. It's pretty easy for me to count very simply, very fast. And also, I think I said before for other games, when you see this, you're not going to think it's something it's not.
Yeah, you know kind of what game it is. So yeah, I will love the quality for the production to be a little higher, but it doesn't affect the gameplay, and the symbology is great. The only thing that I don't like is the symbology for the different countries that you can interact with, because like it's a symbol inside of a tiger, and some places the symbol are very small, so I just see the tiger and I don't know what's inside. I think that's a weird choice, but that's just like nitpicking for me.
There is also a rule book for this game. The rule book has quite a few pages. It has all the way up to 23, but it also has the solo mode in here. I will say that this is mostly a good rule book. It was not a. It's pretty straightforward rules wise. Like it's not that many actions, and it has a lot of examples, a lot of different pictures. So it makes it kind of easier to understand. I don't think I had a lot of problems teaching it, a lot of problems learning it. There are some like nuances that you have to go back to and look at. And there is also one thing I think is nice, basically a designer diary that comes with the book or with the game, with the book, which like explains the process of making the game, has some pictures of prototypes, all of these different things, which I think is interesting, going to be interesting for many people to read, who, especially if you like are interested in game design, it's interesting to read like a longer text about that design. So I'm going to say 2 thumbs up. Is there a play rate?
No, there is not. I will always love for games to have play rates. Like, that's the baseline. In this game, though, the basic actions are pretty simple, and most of the details to the actions that you do is on the board. So you can see the cost of everything. You can see the things that happen in the scoring phases. You can see the cost of everything here, and also, for example, the like influence that the things in an area gives you. So I didn't really miss a play rate in this game, but I will always love for there it's to be one.
Yes.
We have played the game with 2, 3, and 4 players, and it has taken us 1.5 hours to 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yes, how do you feel about that length of time?
I felt it was good at all player counts.
Yes, the length.
Yeah.
What about the game? Do you feel that also was good as all
I
player
felt
counts?
like that was good at all player counts.
Yes, it's an area majority game.
Yeah,
So I like it better with 3 and 4.
I agree.
3 players had a kind of dummy player.
Yes.
Which was kind of hard to overtake in the beginning of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the meaning of it, and that was the first time we played.
Yes.
I think if I played the 3 again, I would be better at overtaking that dummy player. But I think that's like the goal of it, to be like it. Sometimes you feel like, oh, there's a dummy player here, it's going to get 1 influence. You have to get more than that to beat that dummy player. Here it was like kind of hard to get to that point, which I think was interesting. 4 players was great because everything you're gonna work so hard to get into the places you want to be. And my biggest surprise is how good it was at 2.
I agree.
Because rare majority games doesn't usually work as a 2-player thing most of the time. And there's not a board for 2 players, so it's going to be fewer spaces. So it's like harder to get into the places where you want to be, so it simulates that. Also, because there's like different ways, like a majority is not only having the most pieces, it's also about trying to move on the track, and there's different ways to move on the track. So it kind of worked that you could like manipulate things in other ways in a 2-player game.
Yes.
But I will say that like in a 2-player game, you're either going to be first or lost.
Yeah.
So all of those kind of games gives you that black and white, like it's an on or off. It's basically...
I agree. You miss that, oh, I can't reach the first place, I can't get the majority, but I can at least get second place or third place. If I push a little more in this area, you lose that, obviously, with 2 players.
Would you be sad if I said like, okay, we're going to play this game a lot, but we can only play 2 people?
I would still play it, but I would prefer it with 3 or 4.
But would you say, like, if somebody, like, because we like the game,
Yeah.
would you say to somebody, oh, we're only going to play 2? Or would you say, skip this and do another one?
Oh, no, it really depends on what kind of...
Yeah, but, like, if they're like us, if this is their kind of jam.
Oh, that was a hard choice. What did you think?
I think I would recommend still the game because I think that, as I said, like, it's one of the few area majority games because of the system of the game that I think worked a lot. It worked very well.
I think like it's more strategic. Like it's still tactical. The game. We're gonna talk more about gameplay like soon.
This is basically gameplay.
This is gameplay. But yeah, you have there's not that much happening between your turns when you're 2 players. So that's a kind of another puzzle. It gives me 2 different feelings basically.
Let's talk more about the actual gameplay.
Yes, let's do it.
This is a worker placement game with kind of like a forced placement rule and a random setup.
Yes.
Talk to me about this.
This is really interesting because what kind of like the what do you call it? Order of these really dictates what you can do.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's more open because, for example, in this area, one color is set.
Yeah.
But these 2 are like open. So if I place the white worker here or here, that's gonna dictate like the rules for that area for everyone, and that means that I have to think about this. What more do I want to do in this area? And I only have like 2 of these white workers left. Should I use these in this area or should I do something else in some other area? And some of this you can like plan and foresee, but you're also reacting a lot to the other players. I think like because you do this 2 times, you have like this randomness kind of 2 times, but it's a randomness for everyone. So I don't mind. And also you can choose, especially in the beginning, like you can shape your opportunities a little bit.
I think also that this doesn't feel random because like there's not, it's super weird. Like it has happened, like this is kind of like a good mix that I put up for the setup. But we have had players who had like 3 yellow in a 3 gray in a row. And then like some interlacing and then maybe 1 more gray. There's 2 that you're not going to use. You have 4 of each, take 2 off, and then you have 10 left. So even when that happened, it didn't feel like, oh, now you're screwed because that happened to you. None of the ways we have seen this put up felt like it was worse for anyone than another player because it's so open and you are in control, kind of in shaping how the board works, and you have to then decide on the order and the things you do based on then the color order that you have.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to look at the other player's board because you can really see, okay, I want to build a factory in this area, for example.
Yes.
I see now that you only have like the black worker here now, so you can't go to these 2. That means that this one is safer now for me, so I can kind of plan my turn around your possibilities as well.
And another thing that's super interesting is that these 3, like you have, I didn't say that in the overview, you have money in each sector. So when I go here, I pay 1 money. When I go there, I pay 2. And when I go there, I pay 3. But also when I go here to B, I can interact with both B and C. When I go to A, I can interact with all 3. So let's say I was in a position like this. I would be like, okay, I really want to do something here. It's important for me to do that. I could do it now with my white worker paying 3. Because I see you have a black worker or a gray worker, so you could do that before me, or I could hope like to wait 1 round so I can get it a bit cheaper because I need to do something in C. Or I could be like, oh, it's not that important. I'll wait because this other thing I really have to do. And that is super interesting because then you have that layers of being like, okay, it's really worth it for me. You start with 6 money, so like using 3, it's going to be half the money you have in that area in the beginning of the game. So that is like, it's a big chunk of that. So you get to do that one thing, but probably then you get to do fewer things in that area. There's only 2 actions in the game.
Yeah. It is like interact with one of these areas, and you can then like, the thing is you place in one of these and you put a building on this and you decide then what to build and you get something or you pay something. And the other action you can do is trade here with the global market, and then you have to collect these goods before. And this is interesting because when I go here, I can trade as much as I want, basically.
Yeah, one of each.
Oh, one of each. Yes. Okay, but you seldom have that
yes.
much resources. So I can decide to go here once, for example, and do all of it, but I only get to advance once on this track.
Yeah, this global track,
when I do that action. So I might also want to go there multiple times to advance on this track, because that might be a lot of points for me at the end of the game.
Yeah, it's a big point getter. I think like this is a tactical game. And what makes it so interesting, and even at all player counts, is that you have 4 areas that are almost exactly the same. There's a couple of differences, like very detailed, like there's different factory spots, there's different things you can sell to, because you can, if I go over here, I can then sell this to move on this track basically, and nobody can sell that there anymore. We had mostly people use those goods here, and like later you would use them here because this feels better. But this is a good way to basically like sneak in if you, especially in a 4-player game, if you are lost, you can, but if I go there, I end up second, and it helps me in many ways. These are if there's a little bonus you can get a couple of times, and there's like a few, like this one is going to give 26 points to the player in the lead, and this one is going to give 18 points. So those are randomly put up in the beginning. Other than that, they're the same. So you basically have 4 areas you have to try to focus on, and I would say like you kind of want to try to do a bit in all of them, because or else you're going to get 0 points. So you want to like, and then maybe I do a little bit here in the beginning, and I'm like, but now in like the way things happen, I could do a lot here and end up being second place or maybe even first place. And I think it's very interesting because the things you do in these areas place out the buildings.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's a simple thing. I go here, I take a building, I pay with this, I place this here, I get a couple of science resources, and I'm done.
Yeah. It's very, like, the rules in itself are very simple, but as you said, it's a tactical game, and the depth really comes from the interaction.
Yes.
And the timing of the actions are very important. And, like, all of the buildings here, I feel like it's a tight, especially when the game is nearing its end. There's a lot of buildings here, and it's getting pretty tight. I'm not the biggest fan of area majority, and that is basically the main thing of this game, I feel like. But what makes it really work for me is the close economic to one place.
Yes.
That means that you can't really have a situation where everybody puts their like eggs in one basket and nothing happens here, because you only have so much money in this, so you have to distribute that. And also, I don't only want to go here because of the majority thing. I actually want to go here to get these resources and also to get these goods, so I can do this, because like this majority here, that's the main points getter, and like selling these goods and get to the global market, that's like the 2 main scorings.
And the other thing that makes this work, the 4 different areas, is that your build your own scoring is all based on what you have done in all of the different tigers, as they call it. So on the side here, you're going to have, there's 6 different scorings you can go for, and all of them is going to be like, the last one is going to be for each laboratory, or each basically area you have a laboratory in, you can score. If you take one of your flags and you place it on the side, basically over here, I cannot place that. That was a cheating, because there's different rules to what you can place. If I place that here after I get the flag, I'm going to get an instant bonus, and at the end now I'm going to get 2 points for every area where I have a laboratory. And it's interesting because you are going to do most of these things. The top ones, which can give you the most points, is having like 8 power basically. So each one is a power. There's a way to build these satellites that gives more power to the things you have in a row. And this is like having 8 power in an area, and this is having 5 different buildings, and both of those kind of work together in a way.
Yeah.
So there is nuances on the things you do here, and you could go for a strategy where you end up getting some bonuses unless you get a lot of the same resources. You can just go and get the same ones and put them in different ones, but to be able to score all up here, I need to have 3 different flags on this side, and it's just like there's And this also adds to the fact that you want to go and spread to different areas.
Yes, I really think that you can't play this game without focusing on this.
Nope.
Or you can't play a game without focusing on any of these. You have to do a little bit of both.
Yes.
And also you want to be, as you said, maybe in some areas and then focus on one or two. But you can go for like going heavy for this, or try to win all of these majority things. So you do one
or do
more,
both,
or do
like
both.
I did last
yes,
time, and
you did.
lost.
Yes, you did amazing. But yeah, so you will not get like a different puzzle.
Nope.
It's the same thing you're doing, but the replayability comes from the interaction.
Yes.
And also kind of like where you want to go with this, but you want to get things on the board because they benefit you in different ways.
I will say the variability comes 100% from playing with other people. Like it comes from, I haven't played the solo mode, so I don't mean that doesn't work, but like it comes from the trying to up you, trying to tactically look what you do, trying, oh no, you took over that from me, I'm going to go and try to do that.
Yes.
That is what makes it exciting and make you come back to it, because as you say, the main puzzle is going to be the same. You are going to get flags. You are going to place flags here and then try to do as much as you can with the scorings that you have put flags on. You are going to place a lot of buildings. You are going to do all of these things. One more thing we haven't spoken about is the board.
Yeah. And this is cool because every time you build something on a map, you will take this, and every time you empty like an area, you will get that bonus. Sometimes, for example, in this case, I would need to pay one from the area that I want to interact with. So you want to also, this timing is important.
Yes.
There's so many times when I'm just like, and I'm doing, nope, I don't, because I don't have money. So you want also to empty as much as this as possible. That's also another incentive to actually get as much stuff out on the board.
I think that this is also interesting. I will say, this is a game where I feel like you're going to do a lot of things. It feels tight in a way. Another way, it feels like you get to do almost everything you want to do. But in a way where it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I got to do everything. It's more like, I think that is the way the game is made of. You are going to build a lot of these pieces, so at the end, you might only have like a couple of the bonuses you haven't gotten. And there are different routes to go with this as well, like going heavy for the satellites, going heavy for getting the extra influence in the areas over here, getting out your headquarters that will give you like a bonus, and break ties in an area. And there's just like, so there are nuances to the thing, but I will say this is one of those games where, and I will say the same like with Wildcatters, for example, is a game where the interaction is the game.
Yes.
Like that games need 4 players, and it's not gonna be like, oh, this time I'm not gonna do oil.
No,
Like,
that's true.
I'm not going to do it because there is only a couple of things you can go for. So this is not a game, I will say, where you are going to be exploring strategies, exploring different paths, exploring being a way to, oh, this time we're going to do something completely different. This is more of the timing, the interaction, the tactical decisions that will change from play to play and keep the puzzle fresh.
Cool.
Let's talk a bit about the weight. And who do we think this game is for?
Yeah, this is a heavy game, I would say. And if you are fans of giant Euro games, with a good amount of interaction, I think this is one that you should check out.
Yeah, if you like Nippon, it reminds me of Nippon. I have to speak a little bit about that.
Do that.
It reminds me of Nippon. So basically, and I love Nippon. I think Nippon is fantastic. Somebody said, and I kind of agree, like it kind of feels like reverse Nippon.
Yeah.
In Nippon, you take workers. It's a worker removal game, and you place them in a row, and you try to have like the least different colors. Here, it's more like you place them, but where you place them depends on the color. And so this system, super duper clever. That's the most like innovative thing in the game. But basically, if you like Nippon, if you like Madeira, if you like those kind of games where the theme is not important, because I don't know what the theme is. I guess like we are building, I know the theme is you are building up these 4 Asian tigers in the 1960s when they were blooming and the economic started, the boom started. That is what you're doing, but I don't think about that 1 second when I'm playing the game. I look at this, I look at my pieces, I try to have my pieces in the right place at the right time.
And I do Euro stuff. Yay.
So if you like those kind of games, I think that this game is going to be for you.
Cool.
So we already know that we like the game, but let's do some final thoughts. If you are here and you enjoy these videos that we make about board games that we love.
Hi.
We love board games.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you for being there. It means more than you probably will ever understand. It means something that you on the other side of the screen, somewhere in the world, is watching what we do.
What?
If you want to see more of it, you can help us out in a very big way. That means a lot to us by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell to get notifications when I post a video like this.
Final thoughts for Asian tigers. Do you want to begin?
I will let the final thoughts thinking commence.
Yes. Let's do it.
I think this is a super solid game. And I'm happy about that because I had super high expectations from these designers. As you mentioned, we love Madeira, we love Nippon. I can see some of the Nippon in DNA in this game with this, as you mentioned, and also the make your own scoring. I love that as well. I think it's cool that a game that relies so much on player interaction also works at 2 and works really well at that as well. I would say I prefer it with 3 and 4. We talked about this, but 2 is also great. I think that this is interesting, but what really ties it all together is the different like tactical decisions that you have to do to respond to the other players. It's really challenging, but it's not a punishing game. Like, you can do stuff, but maybe I spent all my money in this area and that's where I wanted to do things. So now I have to focus on this area where I'm gonna be last.
Yes.
Like, who am I kidding? Really liked it. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
This game is really good. I enjoy my time with it so much. I think most of the systems are super, super good. I love the innovative worker system with the forced placement, only one color on each space, and I like the interaction of that as well. Like, oh, do I really want to go there now? So I basically force the last color, because when there's 2 colors, you like the last color is already set. So then you're going to be like, it's fine, I can do that whenever I want now because I know it's going to be white. So next time I have a white, I can do that. I think that system is super cool. The tactical decisions, the interaction is so good. It's tense. It's very tense when you're like, oh, hopefully you don't go before me. Maybe do I need to invest 4 more here so that you don't skip over me at the end because you have more influence basically, or more like power in the region. And there's just like so many things to think about, and you have that 4 areas where you have to think about that and try to do a little bit of everything. I have to say the final scoring here is not my favorite part of the game. It's not that interesting. It's more of a, this is what I'm gonna do. So I think like the replayability is gonna be there because of the tactical and interaction decisions, but not so much because I'm gonna get a new experience each time I play. I agree with you. This is an 8.5 for me as well. A really good game. If you like the games that we like, I think you will like this one.
And I hope that if people like this game, they're going to make an upgraded version with a board and dual player boards and maybe some like variability for this scoring, but I don't know.
Maybe an expansion.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'd basically like to end on that. I don't usually mind, but I think we've been spoiled by like the production quality of games. 5 years ago, I would see this and be like, this is great. And now I'm going to be like, this is good.
Be better.
Yes. But hopefully we gave you some feelings about the game and gave you enough information for you to find out if this might be a game for you or not. This is going to be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Cinema.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.